Hey now, it's time for Star Trek 4 because I feel like I haven't explored Star Trek 4 much. We don't get a lot of Star Trek 4 cards come my way, so this was a random pick, and we are going to try it out. So I love Star Trek 4. It's one of my favorite of the movies because, no one's out for revenge unless it's the oddlong shaped ship that the ship has gone to see what's happening, why the whales aren't responding. That's why the ship's going. Everything else is incidental. All right. So I like it. I like it has a light mood to it. It's got a good message. It's a lot of fun. We get to see our characters do stupid stuff. Not totally stupid. That's Star Trek 5. That's a whole other level of stupidity. But this is fun, lighthearted, jovial. That's what Star Trek 4 is for me. So let us start the questions now. And of course, Star Trek 4, you can't ignore the great Kurt Thatcher and his contributions to Star Trek philosophy, especially with the sayings of T'Planohoth and the idea that nothing unreal exists. And, of course, he hate me. No, he hate me. I always say this. He hate me. That was the XFL player from the year 2000. I hate you is the song. That's where my head is this morning. All right, let's see what the questions are. How about that? The director of the Cetacean Institute. Now, I want to say, is it Gillian Taylor? Gillian Taylor. That was her name, right? And she was played by, or is it Gillian Hicks? Was the actor's name Taylor? But she wasn't the director, right? Because she slapped the director for getting rid of the whales early. The whales were named George Gracie, by the way. So she was all mad. And then later she was in that Seventh Heaven show on the CWWB or whatever. I never watched it. And she was there with Stephen Collins, who, as we may know, got himself into some trouble. But we'll put that over in a box over here. Now, was Bob the guy that quit smoking? He had that I stopped smoking patch when Scotty was making the transparent aluminum. I don't know his name. Maybe it was Bob. How dare you, Bob? You knew the whales were going to be here, and you didn't tell me. She was mad. She was mad, and we're mad too because we have to get these whales on the ship, right? So they can go and get back in time and talk to the Cigar case that's in space with the little ball coming out. And, one thing I always forget about Star Trek 4 is the warp field effect, where it's this dreamscape stuff where they're going in time. I don't know if that aged well or not. It's kind of a nifty thing. It has some foreshadowing of the movie to come. It's kind of a neat little beat. But, they're also warping. Sorry, I got the next question. They're also warping in a solar system, which I guess that violates the rules that we'll learn about later. But it doesn't matter. It's just a movie. It's just a fun little movie. And I'm still not sure about the glasses. What kind of timey-wimey thing happened with the cracked glasses? That'll just mess with your head. And now there's some pretty good. I've lost everybody now. There's some pretty good novels dealing with time travel. And Christopher Bennett. I talk about Christopher Bennett a lot. He did some great temporal Star Trek novels, but I don't think he ever talked about the glasses. He didn't write about the glasses and their impact on humanity, probably because there would be none. I don't know. Was his name Bob? Well, the Bounty was the captured Klingon ship that, amazingly, in between Star Trek 3 and 4, had a whole new interior design. That they got a lot of work done on Vulcan in those couple months. But the ship landed in San Francisco under the Golden Gate Bridge, right in the bay. Is that the San Francisco Bay? I don't know a lot about San Francisco beyond what I learned from movies like Trek and of course Dirty Harry. That's about it. So I'm going to say the bay, but it was really the dunk tank from the Ten Commandments, right? That's where they filled it up in the parking lot, and you had Shatner swimming. with his hairpiece intact, which is awesome. Forgot to mention the Shatner hairpiece when I did the TMP card. I'll put it up here. All right. Well, we gotta see the rest of the question. Hey, we got to see all the questions now. The sentence the president handed down to Kirk. What sentence did the president of the Federation hand down to Kirk? He demoted him to captain, which is what we all wanted in the first place. And then, the next scene, we see a brand new Enterprise, and we're led to believe that this just appeared out of nowhere, as if it just didn't just happen. Because it took 18 months just to refit the TMP Enterprise. Well, the Mr. Scott's Guide to the Enterprise, I'm blanking on the author. I'll put a link in there. They in one of the updated editions, they did solve this problem. There was already a Constitution class variant underway, being constructed with a different name, and then when the Enterprise, nice. When the Enterprise gets lost, they just change the name. That's how that worked. That had nothing to do with this. I know. Well, that's how my mind works. That's what's going on. We demand the extradition of Kirk, and we demand justice. And then Sarek comes. The question, what did the Klingon ambassador demand? We demand the extradition of Kirk. We demand justice. It's funny that I know this line so well because of the VHS copy I had as a kid. The audio always kind of went out during this scene. So we demand, Uncle Kirk, we demand justice. It was something like this. So yeah, and then Sarek comes out and goes, Klingon justice is a unique point of view, Mr. President. And then Vulcans are known as the intellectual puppets of the Federation. And then hilarity ensues because this is how it's going. And then the Klingon ambassador stomps off, all upset. And we see that Klingon ambassador again in Star Trek VI. And he's not a bad guy in that movie. He's just there. The frequency is 401 megahertz. I know that like that. I know this movie. My favorite song from the soundtrack is Chekov's Run. You listen to it's very happy music because Now I always get Chekov's Run confused because there's two. I still don't know the difference between the two pieces of music because there's Chekhov's Run on the Enterprise aircraft carrier, where he then falls and gets his noggin done up with. And then there's the Chekov's Run in the hospital, where they're all taking him out of the ward to escape and go get beamed up. So that I think it's similar music for both, but it's very fun. I love the soundtrack to this too. Yes, the whale's tracking frequency is 401 megahertz. That's what we do. Now Gillian Taylor didn't want to give that up. She was like, "That's classified. We can't help you with this." And Kirk first asks her when they're at the pizza restaurant, right? And he orders a Michelob, or she orders a Michelob, and then he's like, "I can't tell the frequency." Oh, well, I already answered this question. What ship was the former Enterprise crew assigned to at the end of the Voyage Home? So there's my 2 cents on that. One of these days we'll get some good Kirk Thatcher questions, but that's some basic overviews of Star Trek 4. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect all these. I'm going to organize these cards where I can get all the questions to each movie and feel like answering them, and we'll walk through the movie. But there we go. Some okay trivia today about Star Trek 4. Oh no, I'm not done yet. I have a memory of seeing Star Trek 4 at like the Dollar Theater, and there was a huge line. Maybe that wasn't Star Trek 4. Maybe that was like Gremlins. All right, well that's for me to figure out. That's because that's just how the mind works. All right, to be continued. And I got so excited about Star Trek 4 that I forgot that there were answers on the other side of the card. So now I'm going to have to edit 2 videos together, which I normally don't do because that takes time. And, I'm not really about a polished product with this channel and these shows, but let's see what the answers were. So it's Bob Briggs. I thought the name was Bob. This was the manager or the... let's see, whoever ran the director of the Cetacean Institute. for higher learning, I suppose. All right, so his name was Bob Briggs, not Joe Bob Briggs, which was the movie guy from the 80s. I'll put a link to Joe Bob Briggs because I think we should always remember. Okay. And then Golden Gate Park. Golden Gate Park. Oh, that's where the bounty landed. I was at the end of the movie where they land in the bay after they release the whales. But yes, Golden Gate Park is where they land the ship to go experience 1986. The everybody remember where we parked line. That's what's going on there. Demoted to captain. I already talked about that a bit. We're good on that. This is what the Klingon ambassador said. Kirk's extradition. All right. 401 megahertz. I knew that. That was not a question for me. It was not a question that I did not know that. So I feel good. And, of course, we know it's the Enterprise A. So those are the quick answers that I'd forgotten to even care about by the time I was finished. So I'm going to see if I can add this on to the rest of the video. Mm-hmm.